Welcome to the Safe Life family. We're the safety guys. I'm Landon.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're excited you're joining us on the journey from Safety 101 to Safety Experts. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
I'm excited as well. We're calling today's episode the Pop Quiz. So anyone who had rough quizzes growing up, sorry, maybe brought back some bad memories. But what's fun about today's episode is you get to quiz me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Plus, when I'm quizzing Landon, you guys can there watching, just kind of think of what you would do in some of these circumstances. And we'll go over there's no right or wrong. Well, there's a wrong way, but there's many right ways to handle circumstances that sometimes you get yourself involved in.
And I'm sure we're about to learn some of the wrong ways. Those will be my answers.
Oh, maybe.
All right. I think I'm ready.
Get started. Whew. Okay, you're a young woman and you have to travel quite some distance. Some of that distance is going to be maybe through some more of country landscapes, and it's gonna take you at least a good 8 hours of driving time. What's some of the practical things you're going to do driving your car to that area?
Okay, so country drive, maybe going somewhere less populated for 8 hours. Some things I'm gonna try and do beforehand is get some fuel, have a full tank of gas before I go. Know where I'm going. We talked about the buddy system in one of our last episodes, so I got to leave a note or let someone know where I'm headed.
Very good.
Good thing we had that episode last time, or I might be in trouble for that. Other than that, I probably bring some water and maybe some snacks. 8 hours. I'm thinking also, where do I eat lunch and maybe dinner? Other than that, I think that's what I got.
Good job. I can add one thing. A lot of times in this world we live in, you young women, older women, you're beautiful, but you get all dolled up to go on a trip like this in the car. And my recommendation is get a baseball cap on and look like a kind of a gruffy old guy when you're driving, because it's you don't catch that eye of somebody that's evil out there that's going to say, well, this is an easy prey. So they don't catch it. So they don't catch that true beauty that you have. The other thing, when you pick a gas station, you say you have to go get gas, make sure it's well lit. And you always kind of watch for stop, look, and listen for the train while you're filling up your car. Be real cautious of that.
Okay. I definitely wouldn't have thought of that. So me and my makeup would have got me in trouble, I think.
Yeah. Excuse me. Next question is, you wake up and you're in the trunk of a car. You have no idea how you got there, and you're gagged, and you got maybe some rope tied around your hands, and you just, what do you do?
Oof. I think I start crying is the first thing. Okay, so I'm in a trunk, and I don't know where I'm going. Am I moving or am I not moving? I guess.
Yeah, let's just say you're still traveling. Yeah, the car hasn't stopped yet, and you know you're traveling.
Okay. I think first thing is you gotta almost pause and think about where you are, what's happening, what you can see, anything like that. Is there any way I can get free? Try to get free of whatever restraints, right? If I'm tied up, I can wiggle free. Maybe would probably be the first thing I think of. Start making noise, but if you're on the road, that's not gonna be very helpful. I think I'm toast. Frankly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad situation to be in.
No kidding.
Most of the time, even if your legs are bound some way, we try to encourage you to knock a tail light out. Just make sure that there's something about that car. If by chance a police officer might see that, he'd pull you over. You're going to have a situation there that all of a sudden the police officer's pulling you over, and the bad guy is going to say, if you say a word, I'm going to kill you. But when you know that you pulled over, somebody's out there, you kick that trunk, you yell, you do everything you can, because when these kind of situations happen, I always try to teach it. There's a line in the sand. that when somebody crosses that line, and everyone has a different depth and closeness of where that line is, but the fight is on. And you got to realize that the outcome of this whole kidnapping deal is not going to go very well, no matter which way you look at it. So
Yeah.
if he threatens to kill you, basically, I've always said, well, then kill me, because I'm going to do everything I can to escape. But anyway, tail light's a really good thing. If you can get your hands free, you got the most of the newer cars have the interior trunk pull, and it'll be a fluorescent key, and you just pull it. It doesn't matter if you're going 60 or something, pull it up. If the bad guy's stupid enough not to stop to try to put you back in there, put the chloroform, whatever it's going to be to get you back sleeping, leave it up and scream for help, wave your arms at people if you're on a freeway or whatever. And if the car's slowing down, get to that point where you can feel like you can jump out and start running.
Yeah.
Totally scream when you're running, that if you can get your gag off of your mouth. But that's another thing that I would try to do. Or you can even throw things out of the trunk if there's things in there at the cars behind you, just to, get their attention too.
I think obviously, we hope for everyone that they're never in a situation like that. But I've heard the phrase, you don't know what you'll do till you're there. I think just pausing a minute and thinking, okay, how do you control your emotions? You're right. You've got to get free. The individual who's got you in that situation obviously doesn't have good intentions necessarily. So not necessarily, they don't have good intentions. We can
it's already happened. he crossed my line in the sand a long time ago when he put me in the trunk.
Right.
The other one is you go into your local grocery store. Maybe it's a little bit later at night, sometimes even early in the morning. You're getting whatever for the family, and you forget to look for the train again, and you get up to your car without checking the back seat, glancing down there, whatever, and all of a sudden there's a bad guy in the back seat. You get in, and he's got the knife or the gun or the bazooka, whatever they do to scare you to death. And say, look, I just need some money. If you'll drive me to the ATMs and get me $200, $300, $400, I'll let you go. Okay, what do you do now? And he's really nice, holding the gun to your head and the knife, and say he won't hurt you if you do what he asks you to do.
Now I'm thinking, where's my line in the sand? And if someone's uninvited in my car, that's already the line in the sand. My gut says don't listen. I mean, take me to the bank, take me to the ATM.
He just wants some money. He says he's out of money and he wants some.
Well, he's going to be hard pressed to find money from me. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think you listen. I think.
So you're ready for him just to shoot you or stab you right?
No, I can't do that. I mean, if anything I have on me, yeah, almost. Frankly, I'm going to panic again. I think crying is probably happening also, but I think it's no. Okay. Or if I do, I think I crashed my car. Is that a bad option in this situation?
Not at all. Both of them are okay. The reason basically that they want to take you, it could be just money, but I think there's other alternatives that they're thinking about, but they got to get you out of that parking lot. They got to get you to a different venue.
Okay.
We had a local serial killer. And by the way, I know who the serial killers' names are during this safety stuff. I think if these guys do the crime and they're that evil, I think we should have some law that they lose their name. They lose everything about them. They just become evil. Maybe that's just their name is Evil 1, Evil 2, Evil 3. But I've seen this through my career that these kind of guys get a lot of time on the media, and their name is said over and over and over again until I call it kind of a Jesse James theory, that they become popular in a very weird way. And that weird way back in my days is after they were caught, was into prison, they didn't have movies about them. and they would get royalties from these movies or their books. And the victims, nothing's happening on their end, but it's just wrong. So we had a local serial killer, and we had a real sweet gal in our community that stopped off to get some treats for her class that morning. And bad guy serial killer got in the back of her van, and she just, back. She didn't have to worry about that stuff. But anyway, he had, in his little testimony, he said, this is what I did. And I just said, let's go to a couple of ATMs and I'll get you some money and then I'll turn you loose. Well, she believed him. And what I've taught since then is that get your seatbelt on. It doesn't matter if he's going to say, look, what are you doing? You say, well, I've got to get my seatbelt on. I'm a safe driver.
I don't want a ticket.
Right. But what you said is you pick the busiest intersection that you can and you crash your car. Now, this isn't engineered right. You talk to an engineer to tell you, but just something simple to remember is for every 10 miles an hour of travel you're going, the speed, it's almost like jumping off a 1-story roof, an 8-foot roof.
Oh,
if you're going 20 miles an hour, it's close to a roof and a half, or
story
16
story and a half.
story and a half.
Okay.
30, you got a 2 full story, and it just keeps going up and up. So you're going to crash your car, and you're going to crash the car. He's going to think, you could even be talking to him and said, oh, I got $500 in this account. Would that be enough? And if not, I got another $1,000 in another account. And you just get them all excited, and they start to relax and think, oh boy, I'm going to get money and do the other crime that they may be considering. Yeah. But then pick the busiest intersection you can. And I wouldn't recommend crashing more than 30 miles an hour, but the impact of a 30-mile-an-hour crash to a cement barrier will do quite a bit of havoc to the person that doesn't have a seatbelt on.
That makes sense.
They're going to have injuries possibly with your airbags. If you don't have airbags, but you can, most of the time, 30 miles an hour, you're going to be bruised up, but you're going to survive this whole deal. One gal said, well, I thought I heard some noises in the back seat and I seen a police officer. She said, what would happen if I would have ran into you? I said, well, I hope you would have ran into me about 5 miles an hour. But then you got a lot of attention. And sometimes you can just, run into somebody if you can't find that cement barrier in the middle of a very busy intersection. Hit somebody in the rear 5 miles an hour. So just
fender bender there.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden have a buddy.
Oh yeah. Very quickly. It might be upset at you, but
yeah, I'm sure.
Then you can say help. But most of the time, the bad guys, if they're not unconscious, they're going to be running real quick. It ends the game.
That goes back to, interestingly enough, the buddy system.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up another good point that part of awareness, the train can't just be right there at the entry, but it could also be other places. Just be aware of your surroundings in that regard.
Oh yeah.
Check the car.
Always. Even if most of the cars, we lock them, all this new stuff, but just walk and just check your back seat. I mean, anybody that's pretty smart, thank heavens criminals aren't very smart, but they can get in the back seat and put a blanket over them or something until you get in the car.
So what about not listening or saying no to that? I guess that
it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you know that, okay, if you're willing to think to yourself, does he really want to kill me in this parking lot? The thing that you got to consider is if he did, you would already be dead or tortured right there. But he needs to get you away from that to do his deal. And we had an incident. Two young men was walking home from school. Guy gets out of his car. We're not sure if he was a serial killer or not. I think he just was a mean, evil abuser. And he looked at the older one, which was a 9th grade. He had a 9th grade and a 6th grader. And he pulled out the gun. Of course, there's that scare tactic again that's going to make you so you don't take that breath of air and say, okay, what's my options?
Yeah.
And he said, if you get in my car, I won't hurt you. Now, again, here's this idiot that has the bazooka pointing at you. I won't hurt you. But anyway, what ended up happening was that 6th grade boy just took off screaming and running. It made the bad guy go into hyper mode that says, look, if you do that too, I will shoot you.
Oh, yikes.
See, he didn't want to shoot him right there or they would have been shot.
Makes sense.
But the older boy did get in. This happened in the Cleveland area.
Mm.
And they finally caught him, but tragic. But you're right. You can say no. Knowing the consequences, whatever comes, you're at least, it's going to happen there, and possibly they just leave because they're like, you're too tough of a victim to mess with. I want to take you to the desert or to the forest.
Makes sense.
To my home.
And I think screaming might be.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that I can confidently say, sure, I'm going to pause and in a very calm and professional way say, no, sir, or no, ma'am, I don't think I'll be doing that. But yeah. I think screaming is a good option.
Yeah, you bring up a great point because your voice is the number one weapon that we have. You just have to always remember to use it, even when they tell you to don't say a peep or don't use it. Open that car door and just yell out bad things that's going to possibly be happening to you. It brings the attention to, I say there's always about 10,000 John Waynes. Those of you that go back there to the one bad guy, and the John Waynes will come and rescue you.
I think another thought that I'm having is if I do get rear-ended, I might be a little more patient, just in case. So maybe side tip for today's episode. So a couple things. Don't listen to the bad guys. Sounds kind of one of our, we're leaning towards that in our summary is don't listen to the bad guys, or look for ways out. Don't be afraid to fight if you have to.
Very true.
Cool. All right, let's do one more. I think I'm ready. I'll pass this one.
This one happened to us personally, my wife and my daughter and I, on a Sunday evening after having Sunday dinner with my father and mother-in-law. But you're driving home and for hopefully whatever reason, you notice somebody's might be following you, and they start to follow you about 20 miles before you're even home. And you're going, okay, this is just, they're going to the same town I'm going to, whatever. But as you get closer and closer, you're about 2-3 miles away from your home. And you do, I call it a square loop, but you just go around the block and you take a whole square, and then you get back on the road and continue towards your house. And if, say, this person follows you, and not only that, another one adds to it. So now there's 2 people following you.
Yikes, we got extreme.
And it's Sunday evening. And in our little town, it kind of goes pretty quiet on Sunday evening. And anyway, what do you do right then and there?
I think a couple kudos for myself, because I'm now the one in this situation. I noticed. I think that's big. That awareness that we've talked about on the show. I noticed that something's off, something's amiss. So kudos. I'll pat myself on the back for noticing. I think you also gave me a little bit of a hint there with what did you call it? The square loop, the square block.
Mm-hmm. You just got to find somewhere that you can do a square loop, that you can go back to the same place so you know that they're following you. There's just no way that anyone's going to do it. That's just stupid.
Well, and I think choosing the right square loop, because you don't want to go down a road that may be a dead end, because obviously that could get you into trouble. But so we know they're following me. I've got my family in the car.
Your wife and daughter, let's just say. So
Okay.
you're kind of there you're in charge of protecting them too during this thing.
I think that here's the nerves again. Wow. I'm feeling it. I don't know that I'd cry. I got to be strong for the family, but you've got to find somewhere that's public, well lit, trying to follow some of those same principles. I don't think I go home. I don't want them to know where I live, but you've got to find somewhere well lit that has people, because I need some buddies. Sounds like the bad guys got their buddies in the car behind them. I need some buddies of my own. Maybe even call the authorities. Goodness, why did I not think of that?
them meet you someplace if you have your phone.
That's true. Those situations, you never seem to have your phone on, or you're in a bad service area. But I think that's what I would do after I verified Kay. They are following me. Something's wrong. We got to find some help, and we got to be in somewhere that's well lit.
Very good, Landon. Very good.
I passed.
This is hard to admit, but it was because it was a Sunday afternoon. We're having dinner. Wonderful evening for us. We left our phones home.
Oh no.
And I also left, I usually have a concealed permit that I carry a gun, and I left that at home.
Oh no.
And so here I am in a situation that I never believed that I would be in. And that was pretty close from home. I was probably 2 miles from our house. And so the first thing I thought, okay, I could go to the police station, but Sunday, like I said, and then it would be locked, and I have to be doing some knocking to get, somebody to come because I didn't have my keys for that.
What I love about this story is we take Super Cop here, who, has all these things. All of a sudden, you're now a normal person.
In trouble. And on top of that, here in our community, we've had a few home invasions.
Oh no!
And this is kind of a pattern that they kind of pick out somebody that they want to follow, and then they just go right in quickly, more or less after they get home. And it was getting to the point that it was escalating in violence.
Oh no!
So we were kind of looking for these individuals that was doing this, but anyway, no phone. And I thought about our local gas station that's pretty busy all the time. So you were right on there.
Okay.
And so and my wife is very independent and a little bit stubborn. She's going, I hope, sweetie, I love you, but sometimes it happens.
We'll cut that part out.
So yeah. So I told her, I says, okay, you're going to go into Maverick as soon as I'm going to drop you off at the front door, because I could turn into there and get you into the store, tell the clerk to lock the door, call the police. And I said to my daughter that she would follow her mother.
Okay.
And first thing out of my wife's, first off, I had mentioned that they were following us. Of course, my mom says, oh, here's paranoid man again. I says, no, I'm serious. And then she could see that both of these it was a car and a pickup truck, was following us. And she says, no, if you're going to die, I'm going to die. And I'm like, you can't say this to me right now. I'm trying to work through this. And she, I several times I said, and this is before we got into the front thing of Maverick. So I pulled into Maverick. She wouldn't get out of the car. So I thought, okay, here goes. And as soon as the car pulled into Maverick, I pulled up right next to it, which is maybe not the best thing to do, but I didn't take the breath and think through a few more options.
Once again, Super Cop.
I know. I was just angry. And I pulled up so close that he couldn't get his car door open. And I noticed his friend went just right across the street and parked to watch this. And I rolled down my window only about halfway. And he didn't dare to roll down his window the whole way. He just was kind of doing like, what? And I pointed, roll down your window. And the first thing out of my mouth is, why are you following me? And he threw a really unique thing that smart bad guys will do, but he looked right at me and says, you're following me. And I didn't know how to react for a second. I was like, dang, he's pretty good at this. And so I told him, I says, no, this is serious stuff. And tomorrow I got your plate and the police officer's going to come visit you. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he took off, his buddy took off. And I was lucky enough that he was actually in where I was working. So I was the one that showed up to talk to him.
Oh, really? And
there was some stuff that happened that we did catch these home invasion people.
Wow.
So, I'm not saying that you want to confront them like that. I still would have begged if you had your family, just go and we can take care of this the right way. And then I could have stayed in my car and even, tried to out dodge the bad guys, if they wanted to try to get me in the car or something. But anyway, that's what we got.
I think I don't think I could quite do the James Bond car chase after that, but I think those same principles are really, really good. It's okay to ask for help, go to places that have good light, be aware of the situation, and be prepared to be safe. And if somebody's going to do something bad, it's okay to fight them on it. So great principles.
And when you're going home, have a certain spot in your community that you just start to look in your rearview mirror when somebody's could be following you, especially tell your daughters and your wife to do this. It's pretty important to, and it's real easy. If you're 2, 3, 4 blocks from your house, do the square loop of somebody's behind you. It's only going to take another, 20 seconds out of your time before you get home. But at least you'll know that nobody knows, for whatever reason, that where you live and they didn't follow you home.
I think something else that's come to mind too, if you don't drive, right? Maybe you're taking the subway or maybe the bus. It's okay to be aware of, I have to transfer buses. Well, if the same people are on the same bus, you might want to do the walk around the neighborhood, a well-lit neighborhood, just to make sure that you're safe. So whether you're in a vehicle, I think, or on foot, any public transportation, all those make a lot of sense.
Yep.
Well, what do you think? What do you think our wisdom minute's going to be today?
A wisdom minute?
Yeah.
Don't ever try to reinvent the wheel when you have a really wise grandpa or grandma that you can ask.
Okay. Listen to the wise people.
There you go.
Excellent. And any challenges we want to issue this week?
Just again, take a deep breath if you ever feel like you're getting into trouble and start thinking. If you've heard these podcasts and, maybe your parents and others, there's a lot of wisdom that's been told to you over the years. It just, that panic mode, that when you're in that fear takes over, it just shuts your brain down. Just take a deep breath and say, okay, the fight is on and how am I going to win it? That's what you got to do. And I don't follow my example all the time because I just gave you a bad one that last one.
Well, it's good to know that even with multiple experiences, we're not perfect. So we're working on this together. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
If you feel like we helped guide you in your journey to a safer life or home,
or if you just think we're awesome,
please follow us for more. After all, who doesn't like a thumbs up or a subscribe?